I'm Jay Horton. I make movies that make money, and this is Filmmakers On. Today, I'm talking to Sarah Jane and Ivan Melkin, the filmmakers behind Nexus Productions. We discuss how they are distributing and marketing improv narrative features like Incorporate and Friends, Foes, and Fireworks. We also talk a bit about hiring promotional firms to help with the marketing of indie films. They're very passionate and down to earth in regards to their filmmaking, making personal relationship dramas while keeping an eye on their audience and marketing. But let's do the interview thing. So tell me, what is Incorporate?
It's our latest feature film. It's a completely improvised film, and it's about love, sex, and relationships. We shot it in 4 countries, and it pretty much deals with relationship labels and how no matter what label we place on the relationship, it all comes down to communication in the end.
I've seen that you've done some shorts prior to this, and Friends, Foes, and Fireworks, which was also a feature. Why did you, what made you want to put this one on next?
This one next. We were newly married, and we were looking at the dynamics and the relationships that we saw around us, and we were also exploring in our own relationships. So we're getting married to both monogamous, and we thought we were also watching a lot of Joe Swanberg Easy at the time and a lot of relationship dramas, and we were doing improv, so we thought we'll give it a go and we'll try and explore different kinds of relationships around the world.
And we're just filming as we're traveling. So we started the film in Melbourne, then we actually moved to Malta and shot the next chapter. We had a friend who's based in New York, and she was in the first chapter in Melbourne. So then we went to New York and shot another chapter, and we finished the story off in Berlin. So we're just traveling and filming as we went.
Oh, that's great. So you were kind of using, your lives to work on framework to make the movie. That's great.
Yeah, our own relationship, but also inspired by our friends and their relationships. We always say like true life stories make the best type of drama. So we're always inspired by real life.
What initially inspired you to work in the improv milieu?
That's a long story.
That's a really long story. We come from a background of about 10 years each, working in different roles in indie film, and we worked on a short film we had a film festival called Made in Melbourne Film Festival, which we run for about 8 years before we moved. And for that festival, we started an Indigenous program, so we had to make an Indigenous film. So we had a lot of people working on that. I think we had like 3 or 4 producers. And after that, we felt like we had a lot of burnout. We're like, what are we doing this for? Like, it's just nuts. Everyone was just arguing and we couldn't come to any decisions.
There was a lot of cooks in the kitchen, but no one agreed on the recipe. And, like Sarah
took away the fun.
We're just burnt out at the end. And we've been doing traditional filmmaking for 10 years at that point. We came from a writing background. I've done professional writing in uni. Sarah, a lot of freelance writing and journalism. We're just kind of burnt out on the conventional approach, and we actually thought about quitting film entirely. We're ready to walk away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We were watching a lot of relationship dramas at the time.
At the same time, we're watching mumblecore films. We're really into that movement. And we thought, you know what, let's just try something different. Throw caution to the winds. Let's experiment. Let's do improv, see what happens. And we loved it. And we just, that was 3-4 years ago now. We just kept doing it ever since.
Yeah, because Friends, Foes, and Fireworks was an experiment for us. We just wanted to do something fun on New Year's. So we arranged to do a film in one night. So we went ahead to see if we could actually do an improv film in one night, and it worked. So.
Wow. It was actually shot all in one night. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was.
That was great. Wow. So what did you do for the release of Friends, Foes, and Firework?
The release didn't go too well. We worked with a distributor named, can I name the distributor?
Sure.
It was Turnkey Films. We met them at AFM. But pretty much they plonked it down on Amazon, and that was it. So the film didn't gain much traction. I know most distributors don't do marketing for you. You have to do it yourself. And at the time, we didn't know too much about marketing. It's still a learning process. Even to this day, it's like one of the most complicated things I find. But yeah, they released it on Amazon, and pretty much that was it. They'll never actually give us any of the reports. We ended up chasing. Like after 6 months of email, we'll finally get a report, and then we'll wait like another 6 months chasing for another report. yeah, it just didn't really work out with the distributor. We did eventually leave that distributor.
That was this year.
That was actually this year. We finally got out of that contract.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we released it on Amazon. But at the same time, we did get a DVD release in North America also. It went to Best Buy and like a bunch of retailers. So that was a nice bonus and a bit of upfront money also from the DVD release. Yeah, a little bit. Amazon, a few streaming platforms, like we put on Vimeo ourselves. There's Beamer Film. So there's a few platforms that's out there now, but it took like probably 2-3 years of just constantly pushing and hard work.
Some of those platforms we put on through someone else as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Through another distributor as well. So
So you guys signed up with a second distributor after you got the rights back?
Yeah, it wasn't exclusive with Turnkey.
Oh, okay.
And they had a weird contract where if they landed on a platform, then the platform became exclusive to them. So it was kind of worldwide, non-exclusive. But also kind of that clause made a lot of other distributors not want to touch the film.
Right.
So we had a distributor in Australia. An Australian one put it on in iFlix, I think it was. They put it on iFlix and I think something else as well. So it went on to Beamer Film through them as well for the other distributor.
Yeah. And these days we got it back and we put it on FilmHUB ourselves and it's back on Amazon now.
Was it pulled down by the distributor or was it?
It was.
Oh, okay. It wasn't.
We asked them and they eventually did. Until we threatened legal action, so eventually.
Even with our marketing, I think we were promoting it as an improvised film instead of the story. And the story was, I think, more powerful than the fact that we made it. So I think we distributed the wrong way, which is something that I really regret.
We're promoting it to filmmakers, which was the wrong approach.
And it's got so many different layers to it. So it's a lot about relationship dramas and friendships. It's got things in there about unwanted pregnancies and actors and struggling with finding work and pregnancy, unwanted pregnancy. So there's a lot of different angles we could have went with. The cancer angle as well. One of the it's going to give a spoiler, but anyway, one of the actors, in the film, they're all actors. She's actually struggling with a cancer diagnosis. So that's why she holds the event. But we went the other way with the marketing, but it's a bit of a shame.
I find a lot of filmmakers do that though. They're trying to market exclusively to other filmmakers. Or I know a filmmaker recently put out a one-take movie, and it's really, really good. But all of his marketing for the movie is just centered around the fact that he did this movie in a single take, and most general audiences, don't care.
Yeah,
or it's interesting for a while, then people just lose interest. Like everyone's like, oh, you shot it in one night, and all our interviews were about, oh, you shot it in one night and it's all improvised. But then I couldn't actually get the story out because it's all about, tell us about how you shot it in one night. It was all those kind of interviews. And I thought I could have went with the cancer angle here. A woman struggling with cancer and she's having a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
And it had so many different angles. It's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, it would have resonated more, I think. Yeah. So how are you guys approaching the release on the new movie?
So we're pretty much doing it ourselves this time. It was odd also because 2020 made releasing the film more difficult. We were actually going to forewall it, do a cinema release, and we're going to go to New York earlier this year. We had our flights booked and we're talking to a cinema to actually screen the film, but then everything just shut down. We're based in Malta ourselves and we talk to cinemas here, but because of seating restrictions, you can't actually make your money back if you hire a cinema here. There's not enough seats.
Right.
So we've noticed everyone's going virtually this year, cinema on demand. So we actually did approach quite a few in America, but
they were taking films that already had
distributors. So it was hard to get in with them. And the ones that did say yes wanted a big fee to actually screen the film. And I think well, why would we pay a fee just to screen the film online? It made no sense to me. But eventually we went back to a platform in Australia called Lido On Demand. And that's also a virtual cinema platform. We actually did work with Lido for Friends, Birds and Fireworks to do, a small cinema release there for that film.
It's called Lido at Home.
Lido at Home, sorry.
Yeah, Lido at Home.
We premiered the film on Lido at Home November 26th in Australia exclusively. And now we're working towards a release with FilmHUB on Amazon, and we'll also put it on our own Vimeo channel. I think FilmHUB also has it on Tubi already, and Eclipse 24/7. We just log into the platform and see what it's on. So
I love that function.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great
really
platform,
exciting.
isn't it? It's like
It is.
just the technology behind that platform. It's so easy to read and easy to use.
Yeah. Is that your first time using FilmHub?
No, we only began using that this year, I think, actually.
We've been doing a lot of research since we went to AFM in 2017 and got screwed over.
Well, it's a lot of your work,
Yeah.
Jason, Alex
thank you.
Ferrari, the Filmmakers On group that protect yourself from
Predatory distributors.
Yeah, that's the one group.
Filmmakers
Like,
On.
just kind of absorbing all the advice that we're being reading this year.
And Rob Hardy as well, where we were looking at his accelerator course as well about niching down.
Yeah, I actually I just did an interview with him and got a free version of the course, which I'm going to be reviewing in the next month. But yeah, he's a great guy. I really like what he's doing over Filmmaker Freedom, I believe.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah.
And Alex Ferrari as well has been helping us out.
So the film is releasing worldwide December 26th. So we're just working with a PR company at the moment to promote that release.
And
oh, that's awesome. What PR company are you working
October
with?
Coast. Again,
I've heard so much about them.
From filmmakers, fellow filmmakers. And they're great, seriously. They're doing
more in 2 weeks than we've had done by
that we managed to do 6 months. They've got so much interviews.
We've paid a lot more for PR before, and we only got a few interviews out of it, but they've already done so much in 2 weeks than what the other PR companies we've had do. So
really, what kind of stuff are they booking for you?
There's a release on Film Threats at the moment. There was Screen Space.
You mean a review?
A review on Screen Space. But
they're looking for stuff in Hollywood for us at the moment, getting stuff, their big ones.
By the time this interview goes out, I suppose it won't actually be a secret. And there goes the Hollywood Reporter also, so that's going to come out very soon. Our co-producer Clara, who's in New York, she just has a bunch of radio interviews lined up, a bunch of written online interviews.
Hopefully some with us too.
Yeah, so it's going really well at the moment.
Yeah. So is the plan? I know they go on like a monthly retainer or something like that. So will you do that for several months, or how will that work?
It is a monthly retainer, but they actually offered us a second month to continue into January, because they say they actually really enjoyed the film and they believe in it. They see an educational angle to it.
Oh, that's great.
So they're very generous, very hardworking, and we do highly recommend them.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to give them a try in the next month or so. I keep hearing so many good things. Yeah.
I think they have 2 packages. We got the basic package. Yeah. They're doing good stuff.
And they're affordable too.
Yeah.
We paid much more in the past and got hardly nothing. We got a couple of reviews and we paid nearly $3,000 or $4,000. It was oh my God. Yeah.
Right. So you guys uploaded to FilmHub. How long ago did you upload?
To FilmHub?
Mm-hmm.
It's probably a couple of weeks ago now. Yeah, it was a couple of weeks ago now. I asked them, could they actually guarantee December 26th release? And I know they say they don't ordinarily do that, but they actually can.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so just speaking with, what's his name?
Alan.
Alan, just by email, say they could actually hold it off as long as Amazon reviews it in time and passes it, then they can hold off, for a launch. So as long as you give them enough kind of leeway. So 2 weeks ago, it made it a month, to get through QC and get that launch ready to go.
Looks like we're good for the 26th then.
Yeah. We are, and even say there's a delay for some unforeseen reason, it'll still go out on our own Vimeo OTT channel, so it's still going to get released either way.
Right. So, what kind of stuff are you guys doing yourself to build the audience to promote outside of October?
This is serious.
I'm following a lot of your advice at the moment. I've got a Pinterest account. I got a bit excited this morning. I think I pinned about 6 or 7 things. I'm pinning the reviews. I'm pinning posters and little snippets as well of the scenes to see. I think I had 2.2k views, and the poster got about 90 or something clicks on it. So
from this morning.
Oh, not from this morning, but no, just over a month or so.
I got you. It was weird when I first. I'm sorry, I don't know why I just popped an almond in my mouth, but 1 second. I'm sorry. Yeah, when I first used Pinterest, somebody had just recommended it to me. I was like, oh yeah, I'll give it a try. And when I first threw videos up there, I think 5 or 6 of them, I did I don't know, 10 or 15,000 views in a day, which looking back at it now, I didn't maintain that level of views, you know, and I was doing the same kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
I think in my case, it was might have been an algorithmic fluke, you know, that
Mm.
astronomical number. But
Yep.
I still think it's a really good, like specifically targeted audience. And I think for your project in particular, I think it'll resonate with that audience there.
I've also contacted a few influencers, but I found that making contact with them first and letting know who I am is better than just saying, hey, I've got this film, would you like to do cross promotion?
Mm.
I think I sent out to 3 so far, and one of them's watching the film. The other 2 have not got back to me. So,
Yep.
but one of them was actually, I went onto their page and they're like a meetup group in, I think, LA or New York. They're in New York, and they're like a group about all these different people that talk about relationships and self-love and that kind of thing. So
Oh, that's great.
they said something on there like, if you want to do a partnership, send us an email. So I did that, told them about the film, and I haven't got back from them. Another psychologist or a psychiatrist I think she's polyamorous. I contacted her as well on Twitter. She said, send me an email. I messaged her and I haven't heard back. But I'm hoping I can like follow that up. But I've got someone watching the film, an influencer with a really big following on YouTube. So hopefully they like the film and they can promote.
Mhm.
They're willing to do an affiliate link if they like the film. So
Yeah.
Right.
I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to get inside to the audience and not try and put it, because I find I put it on Facebook, I get like 3 people liking it.
Yep.
And if I don't pay for it, like I get my friends liking it or my family. It's like, you're not my audience, so why am I wasting my time? And I've got Hootsuite at the moment, the free account for 90 days.
What is
And
that? I'm sorry.
Hootsuite, is that how you say it?
Hootsuite,
Hootsuite, yeah, Hootsuite.
the social media social media schedule.
Yeah, I'm programming, so I have like every day at 1 o'clock in the morning it goes up, and I've got like a little post. I do a little behind the scenes
Mhm.
photo with a little snippet about what's happening in the screen or who the crew member is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing that, but once again, we've got like 2,000 people on the page, on the Instagram page. We get about 6 to 15 views on that, so that's not a lot either.
Right.
So it's slow.
Yeah, it's when you're building up your own thing, it doesn't matter what platform you're on. It's unless you're really lucky, it's kind of it's a slow build. It's a slow build to bring people in. It's a slow build to build the audience, to get them to trust you. I mean, just looking at my YouTube thing, I've been doing it, semi-serious for about a year now, and it's doing okay now, but it took me like 6 months before it was even like felt like there was any kind of momentum.
Just patience and chipping away.
Yeah. And it seems like you're staying in a similar, like the work is staying in a similar milieu, so it'll be easy to bring the audience from one project to another.
Yeah, we always do relationship dramas. That's the stuff that fascinates us, and that's the films we invariably just keep making.
So we do have a basic like Nexus Production Group newsletter that we send out to, and we have how many people on there? 600 people on
600,
there.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, some of them are all from our old contacts from our film festival. So a lot of them are in Australia. We don't have a lot of people in the US. We have a handful of people in Malta. So we do target like that. We have another film called Cats of Malta, a documentary, which has a separate newsletter.
Right.
But trying to get the Maltese people to go onto that is really hard because they're used to Facebook. I always write, follow us and subscribe to the newsletter, and they'll just like the post on Facebook. So I get like 10 likes a day on Facebook, but nobody signs up. And it's like, don't like the picture, like sign up. I have about 23 people on that because they do everything in Malta. They do everything through Facebook. There's a lot of businesses here that just have a Facebook page and not an actual website. So everything's on Facebook. So that's a bit tricky for the documentary as well. I'm still working on that one too. But yeah, chipping away at that. And Incorporate has a separate one as well.
So with the documentary, how far off are you on release on that?
Probably early 2021, say like March, April, I suspect. I've finished the first pass of the edits, but it won't be until January that I pick that up again, just because I'm working on a couple of other projects at the moment. So, and also like another feature that we shot in 2020 called Machination. So that's being edited at the same time.
Oh, wow.
I was editing 2 features at once, and now I'm editing 2 courses because we also release courses for Udemy and stuff like that about improvised film. So I've been editing 2 at once for that, end of year rush to get everything done. And January, I'll go back to the films. It's sound design that slows us down. I think Sarah asked you a question earlier about that because you do your own sound design, but we usually outsource the sound design for our films. And that's, we find like, it can be, several months waiting for sound design to return. But we would love to actually release films even quicker if we could.
Yeah, I do it on documentaries. Like when I do a narrative feature, I'll farm it out like a Death Day. But I don't know, that one didn't take too long. There in LA, you can't throw a rock without hitting a sound designer,
Yeah, true.
and they're all looking for work. So it's
or a composer. Everyone's
or
a
a composer. Yeah, I get messages probably once a week from a composer looking to do a free score for a movie. You know,
Yeah.
which I don't like to do that anymore. I've done it on some earlier stuff, but I would almost just rather do stock than take somebody's free work.
Yeah, well, you can find like really good music these days just on the stock sites. I've done like a series of short films called Life Improvised, and everything is it's all stock music, and it works fine. Just find the perfect mood, and I'm nothing against composers, but I could just get done much quicker if I do it all myself.
Yeah, I agree. And for me, when you're doing it on a micro budget, I do have an issue sometimes with crew, like underpaying crew or getting favors. So for me, it works fine creatively, and it's just, it's moralistically, it's an easier choice.
Yeah, true.
Cats of Malta, what's the release plan for that? Are you going to do a similar kind of release? Or are you looking for distribution?
I think I'm looking at doing a sponsorship deck, which is something I'm learning from another producer course we were taking, an online one. So I'm doing a sponsorship deck and a sponsorship letter. I need to write that, but I've been putting it aside because I've been working on this film. So I need to it's been on my to-do list like for the last 3 weeks that I haven't got around to it. So looking for sponsors to get some funds to help us finish the film.
Yeah.
We're not sure about the release at this stage. It's great to have sites like FilmHUB and like your distributors like Indie Rights that are accessible, so they're always there as an option.
Yep.
But at the same time, there might be potential for a bigger audience, a bigger reach if we work with a traditional distributor for a film like Cats of Malta.
Yeah.
Just if you've heard the film Kedi, which is a Turkish film about cats, and it done great numbers and had a worldwide cinema release. So I think it's through Peter Broderick, and he's like a guy that gives a lot of advice to filmmakers and the distributors to work for that you can work with and distribution plans. So I think maybe I'll approach him, see if I can get a word with him and ask for some advice. But we haven't decided the exact strategy for the release of Cats of Malta yet.
There's a lot of people been asking me about it, when it's going to be ready in Malta. Like, it'd be great to do a screening, but they haven't signed up to a newsletter. But yeah. So so I've got 23 people I can contact so far. But yeah, I'm working on it.
That's great. What's the premise of Cats of Malta?
We're just trying. We've got different stories. We've interviewed about 6 or 7 people, 2 shelters and feeders, also an artist about artwork in Malta that's got to do with cats. So basically, we're just looking at how cats connect the island. That's what we're looking at, because they have in Malta, there's all these different communities all over. All the villages have people that look after cats. So we've just interviewed people from different villages, spoke to them about their stories and how they feel about the stray cats. It's a bit about education as well. They talk about neutering and how people need to look after
cats. There's a big stray cat population here in Malta. You walk anywhere and you see stray cats. Even right now, we're staying with a friend. Every morning, she feeds 6 stray cats out here. So it's a really big part of the community here in Malta. So that's why we want to make a film about it. And actually, there was a bit of luck too. We were shut down for COVID. We had a new camera, Black Magic.
Yeah.
We were testing it. We were filming some cats.
We were chasing cats.
We were chasing cats around Malta, and we thought, okay, we should actually turn this into a documentary. Let's just keep going.
And then I was on Instagram, and I saw the cat. There's this big garden called Independence Garden in Malta, and they call it the Cat Garden or the Cat Park. And it's like a tourist place because on this big toilet block, there's this giant sculpture of a cat. And I said to Ivan, that would be a great one if we can get the artist to talk to us about that. And then I was scrolling Instagram, and someone that I was on was posting him that he's actually painting it white. So I did all this research really quickly. I said, oh my God, is Rick painting it? I hope that's a recent photo. And I contacted him, and he called me back, and I'm like, are you painting it right now? He's like, yeah, can I come and interview you? So then we were interviewing him about this sculpture and about what he thinks about cats.
So that was our first interview. We just happened to be filming at the exact same time that he was redesigning this sculpture. And it just kept going from there. We just found more people that really helped the cat community here.
Yeah, because I'm in like the Facebook groups. There's like the Stray Cats of Malta groups, and there's a lot of people talking about like where they feed. And I had some people who I'd worked with in February on a short film. She was saying that she's having trouble feeding her cats because of COVID. So I got in touch with her and I said, can I come and follow you when you go back out with your cats? So I'm talking to her. She's like a theatre producer and director and actor. So she's a big personality in Malta, so I followed her around as well, Polly March. And it just kept going from there. And then we found a three-legged cat and we got their story for the three-legged cat. So we just kept going and going.
Nano, his name is.
Yeah, he lost his leg in an accident.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. It's really neat. I think that's one of the coolest things about documentaries, the way it just kind of like, you have the kernel of an idea and it just, you start following the thread and it becomes this big giant thing.
Yeah. It is.
The thing I find strange is how do you build a story? Because they say you find the story later. I'm like, what if I don't have a story? Like I haven't really done a documentary before, even though we should have shoot that style with improv.
Yeah.
It's a bit different.
And we have hours and hours of footage, and the first cut I think is already running for 2.5 hours. So I got a lot of like cutting down to do.
Yeah, I think my first cuts average about 3 hours. And I get them down to well under 90 minutes. But one thing that I find helps is if you stop thinking about it like structurally, like a narrative structure, and start thinking about it as like, who's the audience watching this? What is the information they're going to find interesting? And in what order do they find that interesting? And then you try to find a thread that goes through it, narratively as well. But even if you never quite find that, at least if it's thematically linked and you're giving the information that the people want, like that works.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Do you stick to like do you actually like interweave the interviews all together, or do you interview one person for like 20 minutes and then cut to the next person for 20 minutes?
I mostly like to intercut myself. I just did one where there were 4 main interviews and I did them one full interview, then the other, but it was for this specific subject, and the stories they were telling is just their stories got lost if you didn't. But typically I like to intercut. I think it just the pace is better. It makes it more visually interesting, and it's where you can start to bounce people off of each other. Like somebody says something and somebody else kind of answers it or contradicts it or whatever. You can kind of create not, and I don't mean like reality show fake tension, but I mean you can kind of create some dramatic tension through that where maybe it didn't really exist. What do you guys plan to do next?
That's a good question. Finish these couple of films, Cats of Malta and Machination.
Find a way to market them as well. Yeah,
of course, find a way to market them. And we always want to do at least one narrative a year. And we want to do more documentaries. So if we could do one documentary and one narrative a year, we'd be happy. If we could do as fast as you, like 6 documentaries a year, we'd be thrilled. But I don't think we can keep that pace without burning ourselves out.
We do have another film we've been sitting on the idea for a couple of years.
Yeah, we do have a film that we want to raise some finance for. It's called To Hold the Moon. So we have the outline for that written. I've been working on an investment deck for the past couple of weeks. And we'd love to shoot that in summer next year.
Financing is the issue at the moment. We're trying to find like funds for documentaries and stuff. I was looking at that and funding around the world. It's like, where do we find funding? We're in Malta and it's really difficult here. There's not a lot of funds for Maltese indie film people. So it's a bit difficult. They want like a co-production and they want to know all this other stuff that doesn't really suit us. Yeah.
So we're not completely sure what 2021 holds, but we do know we'll be filming something for sure.
We definitely want to get To Hold the Moon off the ground.
With the past work and when it comes to financing, are you guys are you self-financing? Are you finding the funds?
Most of the time we self-finance. We have done crowdfunding previously. We've had grants for short films also, but
the last few films
we've paid for ourselves, but we try to keep our budgets really low as we can. But at the same time, we also like to pay our cast and crew if we can. So it's like a balancing act.
Yeah.
That we try to juggle each time, like keep the budget low, but at the same time treat people fairly. So you always kind of walk in that tightrope.
Do you think that the future of independent film is looking bright or bleak?
I think it's looking bright. Because I think there's more technology available than ever before. Like even today, I was watching a review of the DJI Ronin, the mini drone, and I thought, man, well, look at that footage that's taking. Like it's a size that's smaller than your iPhone. And I think like, the technology's out there to make really high production value films. It doesn't cost too much to do. And there's platforms out there like FilmHUB now where you can self-release your films. You have access to the market. Marketing is difficult just because of the oversaturation and actually like standing out from all the noise. But I think with patience, with persistence, and just releasing content, on top of content, on top of content, you can get there and make a living from this. So I think it's great.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with you. So here's this is a total hypothetical, but I always ask people. So if I were to show up on your doorstep with $50,000 to make a movie, what kind of movie would you make, and how would you generally spread that budget out?
I would try to divide it into 5 movies.
5.
10,000 for each one.
Okay.
I know horror sells really well, but it's not typically the genre that I enjoy. So I probably would still make my, kind of relationship drama, mumblecore, improvised films just because I enjoy doing them.
You can make one for 10, we've made one for 11.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's typically our budgets anyway, like about 10,000 that we spend on these narrative films.
Put some away for marketing.
So yeah, I tried to do 5 because they'll just increase the chances that, one of them might be successful, or collectively, they might all make a little bit of money and get your, money back for you. So that'd be my answer.
Yeah, I think that's pretty smart. One thing that I usually tell people is that, they talk about, raising money for micro budget films and like, well, so I have $10,000 to shoot my movie, but I think I can get 20. And I'm like, well, great if you can get it, but financially, a $20,000 movie is not going to make any more than a $10,000 movie.
Exactly.
The production value that you can add to that, while it may help you tell a slightly better story, it's not really going to help it in the market.
Very true, very true. Well, I got I even learned that lesson the hard way. Like in Australia, I produced a film and had a $700,000 budget. Now that's not going to make any more money than my $10,000 film. So it's all exactly the same. So you might as well keep the cost as low as possible.
Yeah,
and make your
Work
money back.
smarter.
Yeah, work smarter.
that's a sobering thought. But it's true. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. And if people want to know more about your company and more about you, where can they find you?
NexusProductionGroup.com. Everything's on our website.
Can you see the T-shirt?
I can.
No, it's
yes.
Yeah.
So check out Incorporate. It's out now and on Amazon, Tubi, and other platforms. And keep an eye out for Cats of Malta coming soon. If you're digging these interviews, let me know in the comments. But whatever you do, keep making movies.